Hey friends, I have been trying to do an end of June garden tour for days, and it's been raining, and every time it was sunny out I wasn't home, so I thought, well, it's just sprinkling, so I'm going to walk you through the garden. I do have an umbrella so I don't get all wet. I'm starting in the back by the picket fence garden. I built this fence last year out of pallet wood, 100% out of pallet wood. I did it myself. I was super proud of myself, and my uncle did help create the dog ears at the top of the pickets. So other than that, let me jump right in. I'm going to start in the back and then we'll go to the front. So we're going to do a full garden tour. I am in zone 6B, Niagara Falls, New York. It is not a big garden because I am in the city of Niagara Falls. So let's jump into the garden tour and I'll see you at the end. All right, here's a quick overview of the garden. I definitely have some weeding to do. I've kind of let this one go. My original idea was, so I did want this to be a pollinator garden with mostly natives. They are mostly native. I do have a few other things. So I did put the wild strawberries back up. I can't find two of the holders. I have two more pots of strawberries that I need to get up here, and I put them away somewhere last year. But so I have 4 on here, 6 on the far end. We'll go in just a second. Let me start here. Last year I planted multi-stem sunflowers around the outside of the picket fence, but I didn't want to plant them in the same place again. So this year I'm doing all single stem, so there's nothing on the outside yet. I have a daylily that does have buds. I had beautiful Lisianthus back here. The purple one has fallen over in the rain because, of course, I didn't stake it. I have a New England aster here. I did cut this one back and it has grown again. I think I need to shear it back again because, it's blocking a lot of stuff. There is a native Indian grass in here, and I have some mallow growing. I had a bunch of mallow in the front yard and it looks like it's come to the backyard, which is fine. I'm okay with kind of things naturalizing and spreading around. Oh wow, look at that. I have a very large weed. All right, I have a bunch of Liatris growing in here, and hopefully that will bloom. I have Cosmos that came back from last year. This is a variety of Liatris that I did purchase 2 years ago. The rabbits really like the tender growth when it's new in the spring, so I did put an old ring around it just so the rabbit wouldn't get in there and eat it. I have 2 Coreopsis that are coming back, snapdragons that came back from last year, weed, another weed. I moved this sedum this year, and it looks like it wasn't happy with me moving it, in the summer. So, I mean, it was already pretty large when I moved it, but it was getting swallowed up. I'll show you where it was. So I moved it. I hope it'll survive this season and be back next year even stronger. I have some spiderwort. I have this plant, which is from my mother's house, and I don't know the name of it. I just think it's beautiful when it blooms at her house. This one is struggling a little bit. That one's doing really well. I think they'll both be fine. I have whirling butterfly Coreopsis. I do have some Joe Pye weed back there. So, and more weeds. I need to get in here with the hoe and just take care of it. Just pay a little attention to this area. Because I'm just letting this go for pollinators, I'm a little less concerned about the weeds, but I do want to neaten it up a little bit. I have some marigolds that I'd like to plant in here. My tree lily is doing great. It is probably almost 5 feet tall now. I did plant some sunflowers in here, and I put tomato cages again. I have a little rabbit that enjoys, and I just thought maybe I would keep him away if I put something. So far it worked. He didn't eat the heads off of any of the sunflowers so far, so I'm gonna pull those out. But I think at the moment it's helping with some support from the rain that we're getting. So behind that I have a Russian sage. I did take out a burning bush that was here, so I just planted the sunflowers where the burning bush was. I had a free spot, that's where the sunflowers went. The Russian sage is appreciating the additional sunlight that it's getting since the burning bush isn't there. So I like that this spills out the back of the chain link fence. I think it's really pretty. I like Russian sage. So I also have daisies. I had a clematis on the trellis. It did bloom, it was beautiful. Now it's just, you know, doing its thing. I have seed heads, etc. I have an echinacea that is coming. That's just a native variety. Nothing special there. I had beautiful iris this year, and now I have the Veronica. And the bees do love that Veronica. So that is just starting. It is just blooming now, so it will be in bloom for a while. And this is my mess. This is wild Monarda and perennial sunflowers, and they like this spot and came back with a vengeance. And I have weeded, I've pulled things out, and yeah. I also have lavender planted in there, and you can see one little lavender. Yeah, they're being shaded out. Obviously these are getting some fungus on the leaves. I'm gonna have to come in and pull some more, or at least strip the leaves off of some of these. Yeah, I have another snapdragon that came back. The perennial poppies were beautiful this spring as well. And I have black-eyed Susan in there. I have echinacea planted. I do have some liatris in there somewhere as well. Yeah, I have all sorts of growth going on. The daisies have fallen over just from the rain, so I think I'm going to cut them and, you know, see what happens there. I think that might be a cardinal flower right there. And this is a crabapple, a Sargent crabapple that I got from the Arbor Day Foundation last year. I think it's the only thing I have left that is alive, but it's doing well, so I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna grow it in a container. I potted it up this year. I will continue to pot it up each year until it's, you know, kind of a good sized tree for someone to plant in the ground. And I'll see if anyone is interested in maybe a 4-year-old crabapple by the time it's ready. Now I have been harvesting my sunflowers over here. As they're ready, I strip the leaves and just leave the leaves out here, so it does make it a little messy. I have another echinacea out here, purple coneflower. I have more liatris in the back there. That might be the showy tick trefoil that I thought wasn't coming back, but something came back there. And then I have another aster. I had labeled this as a New York aster last year. I'm not sure. It so far has not gotten as tall as the New England asters that I have planted. I've cut most of those back, and I have not cut this back. So but it is now about 4 feet tall. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, so now I'm on the outside of the fence again, looking in, and as you can see, it makes it a great screening garden as tall as these sunflowers have gotten, the perennial sunflowers. I have not cut those back but I'm starting to think maybe that's something I should do. But let's walk around the edge here. So these are the single stem sunflowers. And here are the daisies. These are just Shasta daisies. And a switchgrass that's planted. Black-eyed Susan. More echinacea mixing in with the perennial sunflowers. Again, I think it's rust on these leaves. So we're gonna strip a lot of these lower leaves to let some more air flow through. I have more wild bergamot, more echinacea, switchgrass. I kind of repeated a lot of the things. So wild bergamot, perennial sunflowers, dill that reseeded from last year, echinacea, black-eyed Susan. I have daisies in a couple of spots. So yeah, that is the picket fence garden. Actually, I'm quite impressed that the fence is still standing. So let's go to the garden behind the house. Now, I did want to show you this boxwood. This is one of the boxwoods I purchased in the winter from Home Depot. It was 70% off. And I am not sure what happened to it. You can see it is definitely looking brown. I don't think it is the box elder. I think it's a watering issue. Before I potted it in the container, it was still in its nursery can, and I had that sitting inside this container, but I didn't realize the container didn't have drainage holes. So it was sitting in some excess water. So now it is, you know, getting proper drainage. It's potted in the container, but I think it suffered some damage from that. So we're gonna see if it bounces back. I'm not 100% sure if it will. It's looking kind of rough. Okay, then I have the petite emerald arborvitae. I potted up some carrots. Never grown carrots before, but then there's another arb, just random mix of things that I grew from seeds, some vinca, some phlox, and petunias. I'm not sure what else is in there, but the petunias are, you know, kind of swallowing everything up. I mean, things are looking cute. They're getting lots of sun there. And another arb. These are gonna go in the ground for sure. They're doing okay in the containers, but for sure I'm gonna get those in the ground. The other boxwood is doing really well. Hopefully it continues to do well. It definitely has some new growth here, so the bright green tips. And then behind here, Little Henry, and then I planted some annual sunflowers. Wherever I have room, I plant sunflowers. I have some black-eyed Susan that is spreading, which I know I've allowed to happen, but I think I have enough. And yeah, I might dig some of it out. I mean, I have a good stand of black-eyed Susan that's kind of spreading. And the containers, I'm not going to run you through each container since I do a weekly container update, but let's just take a look down the line. They're all sort of sogged from the rain, but they're looking good. They're progressing nicely. Okay, so I'm sorry, between the sunflowers, or I planted sunflowers around a delphinium. So it bloomed beautifully purple, and I cut the bloom stalks, and so the sunflowers should have more light now and be growing up quite nicely. Okay. I need to get in here and cut back my salvia. That is just about at the end of its bloom cycle, so I need to cut those back. I have had red lily beetles on these lilies for sure. They definitely have some damage from that. There is one sitting there right now. You guys see him? Where did he go? Dang it, he moved on me. I have to get him, so hold please. I'm gonna get some soapy water and get him. Him in soapy water now. That has been my my process. I usually get the lily beetles in soapy water and then spray with neem oil, but it's been raining and you know, I try to spray with neem oil in between rain, but then it rains and it washes off and I have to get back out here. So I will. Okay, so just purple coneflower here, butterfly weed. I have snapdragons growing and these have bloomed and I cut them and take them in for cut flowers and then they're flushing back. And then there is this lily. This one's doing great. It is actually taller than the tree lily. This thing is over 5 feet tall. And I don't know if I've just seen less lily beetles on this one, but it seems to have less damage. I actually have a third one mixed in with the echinacea, and last year that one had a lot of lily beetle damage. And yeah, I keep trying. I'm trying to stay on top of all 3 of them, but it's tough. About 3 days ago, I cut back this mum. So as you can see, I have, you know, there are cut stems there. I let it go last year. I did not cut it back at all and it flopped. It bloomed early and it flopped. So I'm hoping that this year it will extend its blooming. It'll flush later and have an extended bloom cycle, but we'll see, and not flop. I did the same with the asters. I've actually cut this group of asters twice. So this was the second time I cut them back. I cut them back pretty severe. They seem to really like this spot, so I'm hopeful that they'll flush out. More snapdragons that I've cut for cut flowers. The oh goodness, Pennisetum. It's from the Graceful Grasses line from Proven Winners, and it is pushing into the Monarda. The Monarda is new this year. It's a Proven Winners variety, and I have the tag down there and cannot think of the name of it. It was planted in the spring, so it is just flushing now. And then next to it, I have the Penstemon. That has flopped because of the rain. I'm hoping it'll kind of stand back up once we get some more sun. But it did put on a lovely show, and it's encroaching on this container in front of it. I think I'll cut off the bloom stalk so it has a chance to stand back up. I have my new hose link. I did put it on a pole, a 1-inch pipe, to see if I liked it in this spot, and there's nothing permanent about that pipe other than it, you know, I did pound it into the ground. But so far I really enjoy this spot for the hose link. So we'll see, but I can turn it so it's up against the house, and I can enjoy the coleus that's planted back here. So I have this green one is one that I grew from seed, and these really want to flower. I keep coming out and popping off the flowers, but this thing really wants to flower. I have a ridiculous coleus. This is another from the coleus mix that I grew from seed, and a Sedona coleus. And then I have 2 rows of gladiolas that are coming in between. And I will plant a 3rd row as soon as weather is permitting. So that is what's behind the house. Guys, the little tiny space next to my side door here struggled this winter, so I lost a couple of hostas. I do have a couple spots that are slowly coming back with hostas. I have a snapdragon that returned, a couple more hostas. I lost this snapdragon right here. It didn't come back. This snap did. And this blue mouse here is hostage. It's thriving in this spot. And I have weeds. I think that's a black-eyed Susan. So I have to clean up the side and plant something. I do plan on maybe popping in some begonias into this spot. Okay, now we're moving on to the front of the house. Just a quick overview. I think I'll start on this side and work my way in front of the fence and back around to here. So let's start on this side. We have some celosia planted. I had some English daisies. This is two different varieties of heuchera. I have Purple Palace and Melting Fire. My foxglove, they were glorious this year. Absolutely, they were so tall. I'll show a picture from just a few days ago, just before I deadheaded them all. Oh, I have a couple more I have to deadhead. A couple of different varieties of daisies in here. And the Oh So Easy Petite Pink Rose. The little cedar, I can't remember, it's a globe cedar. Some annuals. I have Dusty Miller and some zinnias planted in here. A Cosmo Volunteer, and then the lavender hedge is totally doing its thing. And I think I have a picture from when the Oh So Easy Petite Pink Roses were in bloom and peeking through the fence, with the lavender standing a little more upright. Right now it's laying down because of the rain. I added these cute little planters to the fence this year. I've had the planters, but I thought it would be cute to put them on the fence. So that, I think I had a video of putting those up. And these are just gorgeous hollyhocks. These are like so full. They're the most full, and just a beautiful like champagne peachy pink color. I love when I can't describe colors. Like a champagne peachy pink ruffly little ball of goodness. So they have more blooms to go. There we go. But those are adorable. I'm really enjoying these. They did not bloom last year, but this year they're really going for it. This is another aster that's coming through underneath the fence, so we'll see what happens. I may have to cut it back. Alrighty, another volunteer cosmos here. I have cosmos blooming already inside the fence that are peeking through, and another delphinium, another cosmo, and the Oh So Easy Petite Pink Rose. They have bloomed. They will flush again. They're just kind of finishing up their bloom cycle. So I do have 4 of the roses, 1 at each of the posts along the fence. I do have little fairy lights on here that are solar, so there's the little solar panel. Oh, this little bucket here is doing well. The Supertunia Mini Vista White is spilling out, and this is a coleus, one of the coleus that I grew from seeds. It is a beautiful color. I have another cosmos that's just doing its thing. This aster I cut back, I think, most recently, and it's already, look at this. It's really going for it. The Knaphofia is done for the season, but it was a fun addition to this little space. And in here I do have verbena and lemon coral sedum and more of the Supertunia Mini Vista White. But the grass, again, with the rain, the grass is kind of splayed. I think I will get some twine and try to wrangle it. And next to the grass are more hollyhocks. They are a pretty white and a beautiful red, and their backdrop is more asters. So that set of asters I have not cut back at all. And next to that is the baby blue spruce. And I have a cute little container, 2 containers with elephant ears that are doing really well. And then coming around to the other side, this is the very early spring planted cool flowers, and the straw flowers are doing amazing. Out of all of the Dara seedlings that I started, that's the only one I have left, but it's coming along. More straw flower and that amazing aster. It's the only one I have not trimmed back. It is in a grow through ring, so we'll see how that one does. The snapdragons are still producing. I do have 3 dahlias planted in there. The Indian summer rudbeckia is doing really well. The perennial sunflowers in the front yard are doing well. The monarda against the fence has powdery mildew, and I'm going to have to pull some of it out. And then so this is my summer annual bed, so the warm season.
Coxcomb down here.
Tender annuals are in this bed.
And it
zinnias,
does have branches,
sunflower,
so
celosia,
will continue to branch.
Lemon basil, gomphrena, and bunny tails grass. And I just love this bunny tails grass. It's looking great. Okay, there were 2 volunteers gourd plants that came up, so I'm leaving them for now. They're starting to look a little messy. I'm not sure if they will last. And I have a couple of euphorbia that are just used for greenery in cut flower arrangements.
And I think it's time to plant a few more sunflowers in here. So this is the flower bed that I tried to plant up in the fall, and the thing that took were the prairie sun rudbeckia. Let me show you these. There's prairie sun. I got a little spider on him. Right there, hanging out. That's cool. He can hang there for a little bit. I'm waiting for the petals to open just a little bit more before I cut this one. And yeah, and then I have a row of Indian summer rudbeckia and a row of gold blitz. Now these I planted in the spring. These snapdragons I planted very early spring, and they are blooming, and I've cut on these a little bit. And this is a mishmash, things that may have survived the winter and some things that I planted in the spring. Over here, the direct sown Bupleurum, bachelor buttons, and larkspur all bloomed. They did well, the direct sown things. I think that may be the route I need to go. Like I said, the rudbeckia did really well, so I'll probably repeat that again for very early spring. The rest, I'm not sure if it was worth it. We had a really rough winter though, so maybe that's why. The daisies just look lovely.
So right here in the front of the house, I have a lot of containers, a lot of the petunias that I grew from seed, geranium I grew from seed, a container that I potted up recently, and this is the flower bed that is probably the most established. Lots of heuchera. The Simicifuga was added last year, or bugbane. Astilbe, the hydrangea tree form, more foxglove in there.
Although I had the hardest time growing these impatiens, I had terrible germination on them. They look amazing. The Haconocloa, the heuchera looks great.
Again, the Impatiens are doing their thing. This one looks awesome. These could be a different variety, and unfortunately, I'm not sure which variety is which. The Bleeding Heart looks beautiful with lamium coming out underneath. Hi, baby. This container has lamium, columbine, a Empress Wu Hosta, and a crested fern. I think that was the name of it. My rhododendron. I'm trying to rotate it because, oh, I have a little squirrel that's trying to get in there. Goodness. But the back side isn't getting as much sun, I think, so it's not as full on this side, so I'm trying to rotate it as best I can. And this is what I have planted underneath the Japanese maple, which is doing well. Happy with it this season. I'm trying to be careful with the water on this one because of the Japanese maple. I don't want to overwater it. Guys, the last thing I wanted to show you were these cute begonias. Let me zoom in on the one across the street. So our street, our block club, put up hanging baskets this year. We did begonias because we decided to do this late and there weren't a lot of options. I'm sorry. Okay, so back to the one directly across the street. And then these were our extras. So these two I'm taking care of in case anything happens to the ones that are on the poles. But we thought it was a fun thing for our street to do. We've gotten a lot of compliments. Even the mayor has commented on it. So next year we will probably pot up our own hanging baskets so that we get to choose and have a little variety in what we're doing. All right, friends, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.